Hello and welcome to your Foundation Talking Chart. I just wanted to take a few moments here to give you a visual orientation as to the workings of this chart. You will also find an audio chart orientation. You can see it here on the left hand side of your chart, but still I think this is of value for you. Now, this talking chart is designed to cover all of the aspects of your foundation design that, if you experiment with, truly will lead you onto the path of differentiated uniqueness. And of course, if you are living who you are, that undoubtedly will lead to optimal health for you and your form and fulfillment of your role in this life. Now, if you've had any exposure at all to human design, you will understand that the fundamental axiom that you will hear over and over again is the necessity for you to experiment with and ultimately always follow, not as just some now and then exercise, always follow as a lifestyle choice, and that is strategy and inner authority. And if you remember nothing else from this foundation talking chart, then please experiment with that for your life, because it will immediately begin to remove resistance from your life that mental decision making inevitably brings. It will bring a relief. And yes, your mind will still be trying to seize control of your decision-making process, but if you are really disciplined and you stay with this mantra of strategy and inner authority, then it gets easier. There is a 7-year cellular deconditioning process, and as your 7-year experiment elapses, it becomes easier and easier and easier just to ignore what your mind is babbling about in the background. There is a role for mind, and if you want to purchase a variable talking chart, well, you can discover more about what that role is of mind, but its role is not to make your life decisions if you want your life. So in terms of this foundation talking chart, all of the longer audios that are specific to the beginning stages of being introduced to this human design knowledge are over here on the left hand side of the chart, and I would highly recommend that you listen to this talking chart in the order that I lay out here, because this is the order of most relevance. And of course you can click around as much as you want once you have gone through the process of knowing what is important and what is just nice to know, but you really have no control over if you're not following the basics. So the first audio to listen to on your talking chart is your type audio, because that also encompasses a discussion of your inner authority, and this is why this person, their type is a manifesting generator, and their inner authority is emotional. Ultimately, they have a respond with emotional clarity kind of strategy, and that's why it's all combined into one there in that type audio. And it is quite a long audio. Most of them are at least 30 minutes long, but if you digest that and proceed with that experiment, well, frankly, that's all you truly need to know in order to get to the perfection that is you when you are making decisions for your life correctly. Now, everything else after the type and inner authority, well, it's going to assist you in recognizing certain facets of your natural behavior, so you really know you are on the right path with things. So I would recommend, after the type audio, move to the profile audio, because the profile really represents 70% of the imprinting relative to you that is ultimately going to be expressed as your role in this life. And yes, it is fairly generic at this level of this human design knowledge, but still it's a very, very strong signpost as to what is correct for you and what is not correct for you. And following that, it's well worth listening to this definition audio, because that has ultimately an impact on how your not self mind is. As an individual following their inner authority, whatever definition you have is absolutely irrelevant. Your inner authority will take that into account. In fact, it's necessary for you to have that to fulfill your destiny. But your mind, this not self shadow that is driving your life, will pay a lot of attention to the type of definition that you have, because it's trying to make its decisions based upon what is the inverse of what is good for you. It's absolutely bizarre, the not self mind. So have a listen to the nature of your personal definition. And then in terms of more and more minutiae, well, it certainly is well worth listening to the channels that have activated your inner authority center or centers first. And I say centers because this emotional manifesting generator, it really is a two-step process. It is respond with the sacral center, but don't respond now, you respond later with clarity, and then you can engage all of this wonderful energy that this person has correctly, and it will be productive, and it won't bring you lots and lots of resistance from other people. And resistance just wears you out over a lifetime. It's a major drag on your spirit. So in terms of this person here, I would recommend listen to your manifesting channel first, the 2034. Certainly listen to the 2057, because that's all connected in a similar route. Then I would listen to the 3457, also a major sacral channel that's about responding. And of course you can see that this person has two format channels as well, which are incredibly important channels despite the fact that they look small on the chart. The channel of maturation, the 5342, and the channel of concentration, the 952, really are frequency channels for their entire circuit. So this is a very complex response that this person has. And finally, you can see that there is an unconscious inner authority channel here. What's red in your chart you have absolutely no conscious access to, but you can begin to see yourself in action by watching all of these red aspects of your design. Anybody that knows you will know you, the black and the red, but you looking out can only see through the prism of the black, and then it's the not self-making decisions. So all of your decisions are based on the prism of what is open in you, and that is what brings you resistance and a life that's not yours. So having listened to that tribal channel, the channel of community, the authority channel, well, that only leaves one channel anyway. So the 2644, which is an instinct channel, and certainly makes this person, once they've been recognized, it's a projected channel, it makes this person a wonderful and very, very valuable communicator. They are here to bring a message to the community. So already in the type, the profile, the definition and the channels audios, you have a very, very clear view of what is consistent in you. It's well worth moving into the body graph next. Everywhere you click in terms of this body graph, the centers, the channels, the gates and so on, they all trigger audios. So I would certainly recommend listening to the centers that are defined in you. Defined simply means that it's switched on consistently. and you will hear that word definition relative to transit charts and cycle charts and connection charts even, but that is all kind of ephemeral definition. What you see coloured in a foundation chart is hardwiring. It's absolutely you, and it has been this way since your first breath and will be that way until your last breath. So what is coloured in is absolutely unique you. So listen to the sacral, the emotional solar plexus center, the heart center, strong willpower that this person has, the splenic center, the root center, and the throat centers. All of these arranged in this single definition truly represent the essence of who this person is. Then it's worth listening to the 3 undefined centers. This is ultimately where you can learn to become wise in this life, if you're following your strategy and inner authority. If you are following your mind, these same white centers become your life. They become what your mind wants you to be. But more relevant at this early stage of your process, you can truly begin to understand what part of your design your mind is obsessed with. It's ignoring who you are. It wants you to become who you are not. So in the case of this person, there's an obsession with these 3 white centers. This is someone through mind that is always looking for love, direction, and identity, the self center. They tend to think about things that truly don't matter to them, the head center, and then they waste lots of time trying to bring certainty to thinking that didn't matter in the first place. That is what the not self of this person truly represents, and that is what this person's mind is using as a high level basis for the decisions for this person's life. There are nuances that you will find relative to the shadow mind, corrupted motivation, and so on, but you will hear about those in the foundation variable chart. But this one, well, it really is the blunt instrument of these 3 white centers that is really making this person's life not theirs. So after listening to the centers, you are left with every gate and line and planet. And again, don't get obsessed with this minutiae. It's about focusing on the main experiment, because if you don't do that, nothing is going to work correctly in your design. You still have this design, but it's not going to come out at the right time with the right frequency. And for this person, a very, very powerful emotional manifesting generator, well, they're going to be running fast into brick walls, and they're going to wear themselves out. And that 2034 channel, well, potential thyroid problems there if that manifesting isn't timed correctly. So focus on that type audio, but it's still well worth your while to listen to the minutiae if it doesn't distract you from what you need to do. So literally on the chart here, you can listen to the gates. Just click the audio, that will start playing. You can hear that already, and that's the gate of this 34 in the sacral, and you can see that this person has the 6th line version of this 34th gate, the line of common sense relative to power. But this is someone that's had to learn that over a lifetime. This is a 6-3 profile, so it really is a bridging profile that is in transition. So a very, very complicated profile to live, and very difficult for the not self to deal with. It's a tripartite trial and error life this person truly is here to go through. And of course there's genius, the other side of that, and discovery. And you know, this person here is to be the role model of discovery, but getting there as a true self person is a challenge. And this is why type and strategy and inner authority is your savior at all times. So feel free to go down and listen to all of these audios. They're all substantial. You'll get a strong understanding of what that aspect of your design is about, and the line. and these planet audios, they also play, so you can get a sense of how important relative to the overall synthesis this activation is. Clearly this 34th gate and 6th line is part of this person's profile, so it's very, very important. So I would start with these profile gates and lines in your design, and you will find several hours of audios if you add all of these up, and it will take you a while to go through. So that's why it's best to start over here with the type and authority. The last thing that may be of interest to you is understanding what activations in your design belong to which energy circuits, because these energy circuits give an overall tone to that activation, and it's good to know really what the basis, what the weighting of this circuitry is in your design. And so in terms of logic here, you click that, the logical family will suddenly be activated on the chart here, and well, you can see pretty clearly that this person is not overly endowed with logic, apart from this channel of concentration, which is, you know, at the root of the entire family. It sets the frequency of focus, concentrating and sharing ultimately, which is the basis of that collective family. So you can go through all of these circuits and you will see really where you have activations and what that overarching frequency theme is coming with that particular activation: abstract, tribal, individual, integration and centering energy. So I hope you enjoy this talking chart. I hope you follow the experiment that is laid out here for you. That will bring the maximum value for you, and wish you the very best of luck in your journey to your uniqueness.